This Amateur Radio Roundtable is brought to you in part by ICOM America. Good evening to everyone out there tonight. This is Amateur Radio Roundtable. I'm Tom Medlin, W5KUB. Boy, we got an exciting show tonight for you. We got a special guest on here tonight. All right, I'm seeing reports of no audio, but I'm almost positive our audio is going out. All controls look good here. Anyway, just welcome to everybody out there that's listening on shortwave on 5130 on that famous international shortwave station WBCQ out of Monticello, Maine. And I want to say hello to Lord Robert up there, working the board and getting our audio piped in and all adjusted where we sound good, because we sure need some adjustment. If you're tuning in by shortwave, you can also join us on the web at w5kub.com, w5kilouniformbravo.com. Join us. You can watch the videos. You can join us in the chat room. Also, anybody out there listening on shortwave, we'd love to have a signal report from you. Send an email to tom@w5kub.com and let us know where you are and what kind of signal we got out there tonight. The station, again, is up right on the Maine and Canada line, so I think Lord Robert's in the chat room. He'll probably tell us they got 3 feet of snow up here, so I'm sure the antennas have ice on them up here tonight. Join us. Join our Facebook group at the top of our website. There's a link that says Facebook. Join that. Join our Facebook group. We'd love to have you as a member. We've got over 5,000 members now in our Facebook group that supports this webcast. So we'd love to have you there. Let's see what else I got here. We've already talked about who we are and what we're going to do tonight. So I'll tell you, let me preface this show with a note here. And I was just talking to our guest. He's afraid he might say something that he shouldn't. So we're going to have to make everybody take an oath right now that what you hear tonight, some things you may not be able to share. If we make a mistake and say, oops, don't share that, we're going to trust you not to share that. So everybody hold your hand up right now. I take an oath I will not share what Tom and Martin say not to share. All right, I think everybody took that, Martin. So let's jump into our first guest. I'm so excited. All I got to do is find the right mouse and the right buttons. Let me get down here. Everybody, let's welcome Martin F. Jew, the founder and president of MFJ Enterprises. I want to tell you a little about Martin. I've known Martin for quite a while now, and I consider him a good friend. And it's an honor to have someone like Martin, a friend. The guy's really a neat guy. Let me tell you, Martin graduated from Mississippi State 1966. I believe he graduated from Georgia Tech in 1971 in electrical engineering. Mississippi State has honored him achievement. I think the biggest one coming up is his company is 45 years this year, and he's going to have another big celebration. So, Martin, hello, Martin.
Hello, Tom. You know, for a minute, I thought that was my mother talking about me.
Your mother? No, your mother didn't talk that bad about you, does she? Oh, man.
Well, it's good to be here, and I know lots of people won't believe it's 64 degrees outside.
Yeah, and you know what? It was below the teens here just a couple of days ago. Man, Martin, we've already starting to get questions. This is going to be an exciting rodeo tonight, I think, between the chat room and talking with you. They already want to know what the F stands for in your middle name.
The F stands for fun.
All right, fun. Martin, fun too. That's cool, man. I like it.
You know, people don't believe that, but it really does.
Is that right?
If you look at my driver's license.
Does it say fun on your license? really, for real?
It does.
We have learned your middle name is Fun. Let me get your name up here on the. There we go.
Right there at the end of my thumb.
Ah.
See, it says Fun.
It's a little blurry, but I think I can make it out. I take your word for it.
But there's another part to it.
Oh, is there another part? Okay.
But Fun is the main part. That really is my name.
Okay. All right. Well, now, let me ask. Does that have any Chinese type background to the middle name? I know your first name is it sounds like an American name to me. Of course, you are an American. You were born here, right?
Yeah, that's right, in Vicksburg. Well, the middle name is the name that my mother gave me. And it's a Chinese name. Well,
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
And it's there's two parts to the middle name. It's Fun Guang.
Fun Guang. Okay. So, so Martin, do you speak Chinese? Any Chinese?
Well, no, not really.
Oh yeah. Well, Kong He Fat Chowie Ni Hao Mao.
I don't know what you said.
All right. Well, hey, Martin, I think Kong He Fat Chowie is, Ni Hao Mao, I think, how are you? I think that's, Kandarin or something like that. I don't know. Here I am. I used all my Chinese words tonight. We're going to have to do the rest of it in English tonight.
Well, I used to be able to speak a little bit to my mother. But it was in a village dialect that only a small number of people spoke. So even if I could speak it, there would be nobody to talk to.
Now, that dialect, you talking about the dialect down here in Mississippi where you grew up?
Well, it was a combination of the Mississippi dialect and the dialect of the village in China.
Yeah.
That my ancestors came from. And anyway, they only spoke that dialect in that village, so no one else in the world can speak it.
Oh, man.
So I didn't bother too much trying to learn that. But when I left Hollandale after high school, there wasn't anybody to talk to, so I can't speak any, and I can't understand any of it.
Well, I tell you. Well, Martin, what we're going to do tonight, we're going to jump all around, boy. This is going to be like leapfrog night here on the show. We're going to talk about MFJ. We're going to talk about old times. We're going to talk about how you got your license. We're going to talk about everything. So pardon me if I change the subject in midstream, but you also have the right to do the same thing, okay?
Okay.
So, look, you started up, and I pulled up a few pictures here, but, I don't have the picture of you and your family that I had. I should have got that tonight, but I want to pull up this picture right here. And tell us about this again, Martin.
That was the grocery store that me and my family grew up in. This is in a little town in the Mississippi Delta called Hollandale. It's about 150 miles south of Memphis, directly south of Memphis on Highway 61, and it's maybe 10 miles from the Mississippi River. And we lived in the back of the store, and at one time there were 11 of us that lived in the back of the store. There were so many of us back then that I used to tell everybody that we all slept crossways on the bed.
Is that so you'd all fit?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, this one of your family members drew this picture, right?
My nephew is 4 years younger than I am. I had a sister who was 22 years older than I was, and my father died when I was about 6 years old. And my nephew said he drew that drawing from memory. He's an architect. And I think he got most of it right. Recently had gotten a picture, and it was pretty much right. I mean, he said he drew it from memory, which I didn't believe, but there were some things that weren't completely right, so he must have
Well,
drawn it.
It has a lot of detail in it, and this is back like when I was growing up. In Martin, you said you were near the Mississippi River, and I think Hollandale's on Highway 61.
That's right.
My hometown, I was born and raised in Wilson, Arkansas. That was on Highway 61, the same highway, and near the river. We were probably just a few miles from the river. The only thing that separated us was the river, me and you actually, and we got our license roughly the same period, I guess early 60s. But this picture is a typical little general store, and I see the kerosene pump out front there. I don't know how many people remember that, but the little pump there with the handle, you can get kerosene for your kerosene lanterns. And what else there, man? You got it looked like a screen door there on the front.
Yeah.
You had to have that screen door.
Yeah. And there's the bench in front of the store where customers would just sit outside and lounge around. And the dog in front was our German Shepherd dog.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you had a German Shepherd. I guess you had to have your guard dog there. Now, let me get back to your picture here. So you, let me find it. Now, here we go. So, now, Martin, you grew up in that store, and the picture I saw, you were a little kid, 3 or 4 years old, the picture I saw.
Uh-huh.
So I guess you were there were you born in that environment there?
I was born in Vicksburg.
Okay.
I think my mother and father lived in Rolling Fork, which was closer to Vicksburg. It's about 20-some miles south of Hollandale. So we were born at, I think it was the Mercy Hospital in Vicksburg.
I was trying to, a teenager and got your license. I was unable to find anything. I did have one from before that and unfortunately I don't have it with me here, but it was the one of you and your family there in the store. And I don't know, you were maybe 4 or 5, I guess. I don't know. You had a pistol strapped to your side there.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think I may have it on my phone. Can I get up and
go ahead. Do anything you want to there. Just don't leave the room.
Okay.
So what do you got? You got that pistol there?
Well, I got it in the picture here. This is a set of pictures that my niece gave me. I never had these before. And let's see if I can find one.
See if you can find that family picture there. Let's see. Okay, now that's you. There you are. Hold it up just a little higher. There you go. All right, boy, you're a cute little baby there.
That was when we lived in Greenville, Mississippi. And
look at that old Coke machine box back here. There you go. Is that your mom?
No, it was my
sister.
Oldest sister.
Oh yeah, okay.
And I'm on her left side, and that's my brother on my right side.
Okay.
And my sister's holding the nephew that drew that picture of the store.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You got that picture there anywhere?
Let me show you this one first.
Oh boy.
This is back when we were in, I think that was in Rolling Fork. Here's one of an earlier family picture. It's my father and my mother and my brother. This must have been back in Rolling Fork, and I think the one you're. Let me see if I can find.
It looked like you were behind a meat counter or something there. You had the whole family was all lined up there.
Yeah, I might have that on my phone. Let me see.
Well, that's okay. So Martin, did all of your family work there in the store a little bit? I guess when you were young, you didn't go off anywhere, so you probably just.
That's all we did was work in the store. We'd come back from school and go right to work in the store.
So that's where you probably learn your business skills, right? You know how to cut meat and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's true. As kids, we just worked in the store. We put the groceries up and put the drinks up and waited on customers and swept the floors. But I really didn't learn how to run a business until I finished an electrical engineering degree at Mississippi State, and then I went off and got a master's in electrical engineering at Georgia Tech. And then with my brand new master's degree in electrical engineering, I went back and ran that little grocery store for my brother.
Now, let me ask you, so you went back to run a store, but did you do any rewiring after you got back?
Only rewiring I did was the ham radio that I had up in the attic.
All right, cool.
No, but I did learn how to fix the refrigeration units, the motors, and the machines that were used in the refrigerators and the walk-in coolers, and we had to work on everything back then.
Oh yeah. So Martin, what got you interested? Here you are, a little. I won't call you a kid, I'll call you a child. You're a small child, you're in this general store, you're selling kerosene, you're cutting meat, but you got interested somehow in ham radio and electronics, going off to school for electronics. So what kind of led to getting into ham radio?
Well, when we were kids, we were in Cub Scouts, and one of the projects in one of the Cub Scout manuals was a crystal radio set, Foxo crystal radio set.
Yeah. Now, was that your first radio?
That was the first radio.
Okay.
That was when you used the old rusty razor blade and the pencil lead for the detector.
Let me put a picture up here. Look at this.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see if I can, let's see, there we go. There's the razor blade.
Man.
And the pencil. Look at that. Now, Martin, you built one of these, and hey, it's a pretty simple radio. I built one when I was small, but this thing only got about 2 or 3 parts in it, and you built that. So how did it work out for you?
Well, I never could get mine to work.
So you built it and you couldn't get it to work, but did you use the right razor blade? Let me see if I got a better picture now. Wasn't you supposed to use a blue blade? There was a brand called Blue Blades.
I think so. Some rusty razor blade, and I could never find a good spot on the razor blade for it to rectify so I could hear anything. But it might have also been because it didn't have an antenna that was good enough.
Well, that may have been. Now, I did some research today. Is this foxhole radio, and here it is. POW has used that very same radio, but they got theirs to work, Martin.
Yeah.
So they didn't have any experience, but they got theirs to work. Now, if you look at that picture right there, that's a piece of coke. COKE. That's like the aftermath of coal that burned in a stove or something. That's coke. And the POWs would actually grind a little hole in a board, and it put a little bitty piece of coke about the size of a pea in there, and they would use that for the detector, instead of the razor blade and the pencil.
Well, that's great. I didn't know.
Yeah, well, see, if you tried some, and I bet y'all had coal down there at that store, didn't you? Or somewhere close, I bet you.
Yeah, we did. We sold charcoal. We sold some coal. But we sold a lot of coal oil, kerosene.
Yeah.
Now I have to try that piece of coke.
Well, hey, Martin, I was reading today about that because I knew that was your first radio, and I like the story where you say you built it and it didn't work. You never could get to work. I don't know if mine ever worked, to tell you the truth. It may have. But, I'm thinking, okay, these POWs, they can find some wire and they can get a razor blade and they can get a pencil, but what do you do for an earphone? And I read one of the POW's stories, and what they did, they took 4 nails, they made they took wire and wound around the nails, made it, electromagnet, and they put the end of a tin can on it. And they would use that for a little speaker earphone, and they could actually hear. Isn't that something?
Oh, that's really fascinating to read about what the POWs did.
Oh yeah. Okay, so Martin, okay, well, that radio didn't work, so obviously you didn't get discouraged. You kept going, right? You must have got something that eventually started working. When did you get your license, and what was your first radio?
Well, I got my license back in 1960. That's been, what's that, almost 57 years ago now.
Oh, yeah.
But I had been interested in that way before then. I just didn't know any hams. But I had somehow gotten copies of Popular Electronics and started reading them. And I read all the books we had in our library, just a small school. And I had bought a radio kit, Fillmore radio. And I remember that. I didn't have a soldering iron, so I just twisted the wires together. It was a one-transistor crystal radio. And one evening, I was laying in bed. This is back before the days of air conditioning, and listening to these faraway radio stations. And then all of a sudden, I heard somebody on the radio just broke in, W5VMC. It turns out he was a local radio TV repairman who was a ham radio operator in Hollandale. So I got up enough courage to go visit him, and started a nice friendship. And back then, he gave me the novice test, and back then we had a conditional class, which was the general class, but it was given by a volunteer.
Well, I tell you, you had it made when you met the radio repair guy. My uncle was a radio operator in World War II in the Navy, and when he came out, he started a radio repair business, which of course turned into TV. So I grew up in that environment with my uncle there, and boy, talk about parts. He had hundreds of junk sets, and Martin, I didn't buy any parts for years and years and years. We're getting a little noise. I don't know what's causing that. Let's see if this noise will clear up. Well, they say it always gets worse before it gets better, so it just got worse. It's getting worse again. It's getting worse. Martin, let me call you back. Let's get a better connection, okay? I'm gonna call you back. Now let's see if this works. All right, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I do, and it's clear again. So
yeah.
we just had to
nice,
we just had to get a better connection here.
Yeah.
So hey, you grew up there. You made friends with a ham. Now my uncle, boy, he knew electronics, but he never did get his license, and it always wondered why. But some people just feel like, he surely could do it, but he just didn't take that step, But you having a ham and a TV repairman there and getting you started, that was great.
Oh, it was good. He was he could copy CW. He could talk to me and copy CW at the same time.
Oh wow, that's hard to do.
And I worked for him for free, so I could get some parts to build a transmitter, and he ended up building the transmitter with parts out of a TV set. He built the CW portion of the Heathkit DX35 with an 807 instead of, I think it was a 6146.
Okay.
And the transformer he used was out of a TV set, and it didn't have enough voltage. So the input power was only about 20 watts. So it must be about 10 watts or so out. And it's crystal controlled.
He didn't get it out of the right TV, because I pulled many big power transformers out of old color TVs, man, 800 volts each side of center tap,
Oh, man.
That would put out some power, and But yeah, the nice thing about it was there's just everything you needed to build a transmitter came out of a TV, maybe except for the crystal.
Yeah. I remember buying a couple of crystals, and you would always get frustrated because there was a guy just a couple of kilohertz away from you that was operating it. You just couldn't. He wouldn't tune around to listen for you. So I tried grinding them down. I think I ground one down so far it quit oscillating. No, that was making it go up in frequency.
Yeah.
And to make it go down in frequency, you took it apart, rubbed it with a
pencil.
A pencil, yeah. Yeah, FT243s. You could take those apart and put them back together pretty easily.
Yeah, I even saw a mod back then where you drilled a hole in it and you put a little knob on it. I don't remember how it worked, but I guess the little wafer in there, and you could actually make a variable crystal with it a little bit. But back when we were novices and were crystal control, nobody had the same crystals. You'd call CQ on one frequency and you'd tune the band because somebody with another crystal is calling you on a different frequency, so you're always working two different frequencies.
Yeah, that was really pretty neat, and nobody does that anymore.
Yeah.
If you're not right on frequency, nobody answers you. But back during those days, I remember and learned how to adapt parts. Back then there were carbon composition resistors.
Right.
And if you had a value, needed a value that you didn't have, you could take one like a little 2-watt resistor and take a file and just file a V in it. And you could adjust that resistor to whatever value you wanted. Oh,
you're getting real precision now. You actually be able to saw into that resistor and get the resistor you needed. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, you could do kind of the same thing with a capacitor. If you took a ceramic capacitor, you could just break pieces of it off.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and get different values of capacitors. And I remember this W5VMC had some of these really old radios. I don't know, must have been the 30s or 40s, but they had electrodynamic speakers. And I used to take those speakers and unwind the wire around it. And that's what I used for antenna wire. But that was soft copper wire, and you put it up, and it wouldn't be very long before it sagged and broke.
Well, but, I don't think, I did the same thing. I don't think it bothered me. Wire was wire back then, That may have been the only wire you could get.
Oh, yeah, and that wasn't a problem. It didn't take much time to put it back up. String it between two trees.
Well, and back then too, our antennas weren't tuned just really good. So what if it got 2 or 3 or 4 feet longer? You just tune the radio to match it, right?
That's right. Back then, the transmitters had pi networks in it, and you could adjust it to match just about anything.
Oh yeah, and so how long was it before you got a SWR meter? Did you build one or did you buy one?
I never had a SWR meter. Everything was done by loading the transmitter.
Yeah, I don't think I had one till many years later, and it was a homemade one. And I hated that where you go forward and you zero it and then you flip it to reflected and you get a different reading. I never could figure out the two readings. I had to get me a chart or something, but. Boy, now with these new cross needles like you've got on your watt meters, those are just, man, they work beautiful.
Oh, it's a whole different world now.
Why didn't we have that, Martin, back when we were growing up?
Well, they had kind of things like that. What I remembered was there's two things I remembered. The best antenna that I had was an extended double ZEP for 20 meters. And I built a link-coupled antenna tuner. And then I used a flashlight bulb with a few turns of wire for a pickup, and I tuned it for maximum brilliance on that wire. Yeah. And I worked the world with that. That was one thing I remembered. The other one that I remembered was using 300 ohm TV twin lead to feed the antenna. And this was sort of an SWR meter. You remember the twin lamps? You use 2 light bulbs and a piece of 300 ohm twin lead, and you would attach one point to the twin lead, and when the SWR was low, one of the light bulbs would light up and the other one would go out. Do you remember that?
I never did that, but I remember, I remember that way of doing things.
Yeah, well, that worked real well.
Yeah, and that was kind of cool. And you're talking about bulbs, boy. I mean, that's the way we would tune up. We didn't have dummy loads in. We had a 100-watt bulb, and that's how we tuned up our transmitter.
And how about the TR switches?
Those were cool. They had the TR switch. You go from transmit to receive, and see, I got a picture. Let's see. I got a picture here. Here's my station back in '64. I don't have your station 64, but you can see right there a separate receiver and a separate transmitter, and you got to switch back and forth.
T150. What's that Heath kit? Is that a DX?
I think I had that borrowed. That's a DX40 or so. I don't know.
DX40, okay, yeah. But DF1 BFO got an ICO signal tracer. I had the matching signal tracer and signal generator that I built, but that receiver there, I was talking to you about it earlier. I think that's that Helicrafters. I think, is that a SX140? Yeah, X140. I have one right there.
Do you have one, I think, on a shelf back there, if I'm not mistaken?
And I just bought another one.
Did you? Boy, I tell you, that in its day, that transmitter there, that was a nice transmitter. It ran 150 watts. Of course, as a novice, we can only run 75 watts. But it was 80 through 6 meters, and it had AM on it. Of course, back then, nobody was on sideband. So it had CW and it had AM, and it went through 6 meters. It actually had a VFO, which we couldn't use as a novice. We had to plug the crystal in, And I have to say, I have to be honest here. I've never really used the VFO when I was a novice. If the FCC's listening, if Riley's out there listening tonight, I never did that. Now,
I saw 2 VFOs up there. The Heath F1 and one that built in.
Yeah, there was one there. Yeah, there was another one.
I bet that microphone was a crystal mic.
Let me tell you, that mic, that looks like it came off some old tape recorder somewhere. I have no idea. But, I used it on 6 meters. And the thing about it back then, and I don't know when they quit doing it, I guess. Back then, you could hold your novice license and your tech license at the same time. Both of them required 5 words in code, and so it was pretty easy to make that step. So I would work 6 meters voice, and I'd work, 80, 15, and what was the other one? 80, 40, and 15 on CW as a novice. But it was kind of cool to work 6 meters voice.
Well, I can tell you're a real CW operator because I see a bug there, and I also see a typewriter.
Let me get. Oh, that's my printer. That's my printer back there. Let's see. I don't know if can you see it. Well, I can't make the key out there. It may be the Vibroplex key. I don't know. But, people look at that picture, ask me about that printer I've got back behind me back there. Not many people have printers like that anymore.
Well, let's mention one other thing, that ICO signal tracer.
Well, let's look at it. Yeah.
I can point one thing out, and people won't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah, okay. That thing on the center and the top with the round speaker, that's a signal tracer that I built, and it was a RF and an AF tracer, and it's really good for if you had a radio that wasn't working, you could take that probe and go through the various stages of that radio, whether it be RF or audio, and it would come out that speaker right there. So it would help you isolate in a radio where your trouble is.
Let me mention 2 things. One, if you look on that signal tracer box, like you said, which is sitting on top of the T150, upper right corner, there's a little white-looking round thing.
Yep.
Magic eye tube.
That's the magic eye. And, I hadn't seen one of those in years.
Yeah. They
But,
use that in place of a meter.
Yeah, and that thing had a built-in watt meter, an AC watt meter in it. You could plug an appliance or something into that, and you could turn the knob down there and watch that magic eye. And when that magic eye closed, you could read the wattage on the dial on the knob down there. So that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. And you were talking about the technique for tracing the signal starting near the input, and then you trace it all the way back, and whenever the signal disappeared, that was the stage that wasn't working.
Well, that's right. And you had two different probes. You had an RF probe and you had an audio probe, so you could get in different parts of the radio. So it was kind of cool there. So,
but there was another technique that I used to use, which was signal injection. Instead of starting at the front end of the radio, you started at the back end toward the speaker.
Right.
And the signal that I used was my finger.
Oh, yeah.
Finger down there, and you can hear a hum.
Let me tell you, there's this BIX 40 radio. I don't want to get too far off the subject here, but this BITX 40 radio we're building here that everybody on the group here is working on. There's a troubleshooting video on YouTube where he takes a screwdriver, just a little screwdriver, and he holds it with his fingers on the metal, and he touches different places through this board, and you hear the receiver making noise, and you just follow it right through just by touching the board. And that's what you were talking about, injecting a signal.
Yeah. Yeah, those are timeless techniques.
Oh, man. Well, let's see. Okay, you got your degrees, and you were a ham radio operator, and you had it made, and I guess, being a ham radio operator, you probably caught the girls pretty good out there, I mean, they were probably all after you all the time.
Well, I wish it was that way.
Oh, anyway, well, I think you've got a beautiful wife here. Let's see, I got a picture here. Let's put her on here. Let's see, I think that's her right there, isn't it? Yeah,
that's her.
That was made at your 40th anniversary down at your place out at the park.
Well, she was born and grew up in Glen Island, which was 17 miles from where I grew up. But I didn't meet her until she went to college at MSCW, Mississippi State College for Women, which is called Mississippi University for Women. I didn't meet her until she was here.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But I would tell her that she showed up on your show.
Yeah, tell her she made the show. Boy, all 7 people out there in the internet land got to see her tonight. So, okay, so, well, you got your degrees, and you went back, you ran the store, you learned about business, and then somehow you sprouted your wings, and you left the store, and you said, I'm gonna start me a company up. How did all that happen?
Well, growing up in a store, I thought everybody was in their own business. Back during that time, they were electricians, bricklayers. Everybody basically had their own business. That's how the culture was back then. So I just naturally grew up and I was interested in radio and electronics. So I just kind of combined it. But after I worked in the store, ran the store for about 6 months, I really liked business, but I went to work for about a year in Champaign, Urbana, and Fort Wayne, Indiana. And then I got a call one evening from one of the professors at Mississippi State. He wanted to know if I wanted to come back to work on a PhD. He had some money that I could use to go to school. So I really didn't want to work on PhD. I just wanted to get back home. So I came back and finished all the coursework for the PhD in 3 semesters. But during that time, I started a company at first to do engineering design for the various research departments at Mississippi State. And the idea was go out to get the business and let some of the engineers that I had met do the work. But there wasn't enough work to do that, so I ended up doing all the work by myself. And I found out pretty quick that all I could do was all I could do. I just couldn't get much bigger doing all the work by myself. So I decided I need to design a product and build it and get other people to build that product. And my interest had been ham radio, so I built this these filters, CW filter and single sideband filter, and started advertising them in a little 2-inch by 2-inch ad in the old defunct ham radio magazine.
Uh-huh.
And I did that for a couple of years, so maybe 5,000 of those filters. And
now you actually designed it, and you hired college students, I guess, to build that for you, to put it together.
Well, yeah. Eventually, I mean, I was doing everything by myself.
Okay.
I was, writing the ads, building the product, shipping the orders until I had enough volume where I could hire some of our students to do it. But I first started off in my garage apartment, but I rented a hotel room in downtown Starkville.
Now, I understand that was a pretty expensive place, Martin, when you moved in that first place.
It was a big time expense for us. We paid 50 cents a day. It's a room that they couldn't rent to anybody else. It didn't have any furniture, bathroom didn't work, but it was a place that I could etch boards and drill boards and build it. And after a couple of months, the hotel manager, I think he was pocketing the money, but he...
It's sulfur, what was that stuff called?
Ferric chloride.
Ferric chloride, yeah. That stuff stinks, man.
Yeah.
So you were stinking up his 50 cent a day room. Now, even though he was pocketing the money, he wasn't making a whole lot there.
No, he wasn't making a whole lot, but 50 cent went a long ways back in those days.
Well, I guess it did. So okay. So at some point, though, you started turning these out in production line. How much did you pay these college kids for building one?
Well, I didn't pay them much. Paid them, I'm sure it had to be minimum wage.
Yeah, well.
But we were saving money every way that we could. We had the wire that I used to wire these filters up with. I used to tell we had telephone men back then that came to install telephone and repair your telephone.
Right.
When I used to see the telephone man riding around town, and I would see this scrap wire in the back of his truck. So I would stop him and ask him if I could have that wire. And that's what we used to wire up the filters.
Well, that's good wire. It's just too short for them. It's just right for your filters, isn't it?
Yeah. And then I had a friend who taught like 7th, 8th grade, and he needed a project for his students. So he took the wire and cut them to the lengths that we needed and stripped the ends. So we had 7th and 8th graders that were part of our production.
Well, that's cool. Let me tell you, we've got Glenn Popels on here, KW5GP. Glenn's the author of the ARL published book, Arduino for Ham Radio, and I think some mesh networks, and he's writing a new book. But anyway, you've already got him hooked. He's going to go out now, I think, and order a Magic Eye, he says. He's doing all this Arduino stuff. I'm going to see if he can, interface a Magic Eye to an Arduino.
Well, Glenn's a pretty neat guy.
Yeah.
I ran into him at Costco up in Memphis.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and we had a nice, long conversation, and he told me some pretty neat stuff. He had a CW-only transceiver that I think he paid a few dollars for in China, and he interfaced it with an Arduino using a DDS
Right.
VFO, and he was able to operate digital mode.
Yeah. I've been following Glenn throughout that evolution of building that, and he built that little plastic trophy case. I think about baseball size. A really neat looking little radio there.
Oh, it was. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. All right, so hey, okay, you got your first product out. You're making CW filters, and you got to say something like there's more to it than just a CW filter. You got to expand, don't you?
Well, yeah, we spent one summer with some students, and I was teaching some classes back then, and hired some students to work with me, and we turned out 7 new products over one summer. And ran a full-page ad in Ham Radio magazine, and started selling more products. But what really got us going was, this was in one November. I forgot when it was. It was like 75 or so. And we brought out a brand new antenna tuner. It was a random wire tuner. And we ran a full-page ad, and we got a toll-free watch line. That was a telephone line where people could call in for free. I mean, nobody knows what that means anymore.
Right.
But we were the second company in ham radio to have a toll-free watch line. And in that 1 month in November, we sold more in that 1 month than we did in that entire previous year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that really got us going with antenna tuners. So we started expanding the antenna tuner line, and we made a lot of tuners.
Well, I failed to mention at the beginning that MFJ Enterprises consists of five different subsidiaries, and I guess the main one is MFJ, and then you've got Ameritron, you've got High Gain, you got Mirage, you got Vectronics, and you got Cushcraft. So you got a lot of different companies all going there under MFJ Enterprises. How do you handle all that?
Well, each one of them has a production facility, and they have their own managers, and then the central administration is just done by a few people. I mean, we have an accounting group, and we have human resources and an office group to answer the phones. So we've got some really good people that can take care of what needs to be done.
Now, and I toured your place back a few years ago, and you guys laid the red carpet out. And I understand any ham that wants to come by and tour your facilities, you guys just make them feel at home. You take them and you show them everything. You take them in where you're building and the parts. And I mean, you guys, you do more than just assembly. I mean, you're the metal cases. You actually make the metal cases, don't you, for the products?
Well, we do, and we welcome anyone who wants to come to visit us. And you're right, we like to roll out the red carpet and just make everyone feel good. And we just hams are like that. But you're right, though. We do. We've got a building that's it's got several CNC punch presses and bending machines, so we can take in sheets of aluminum and build a cabinet and silk screen it to label it. And we have ways of making vacuum formed plastic pieces, and we do things like we make our roller inductors, we make our variable capacitors, we make the air wound coils. We have a surface mount machine that can take parts and place parts automatically. The SWR analyzer's got over 200 parts, and all those surface mount parts can be placed in under a minute.
I've seen your machine do it. Boy, it just lays the little parts in there. And does it wave solder? What do you call that?
Yeah, well, once the parts are placed, it goes into an infrared oven that has a conveyor belt, and it just heats everything up, and all the solder melts. Those are the small surface mount parts. Now, there are some big parts that the machine can't put on, things like potentiometers and switches and stuff like that. And those either have to be soldered by hand, but what we do is to use a wave solder machine. That's a different machine where this board will kind of float over a wave of solder, and it just solders all that stuff at one time.
Well, I tell you, they really got that perfected. I mean, hey, when I was growing up and soldering, it was real easy for me to get solder bridges between circuits, man. I don't know how this wave stuff works, but when that circuit board floats across that lake of melted solder, I just don't know how it does it, man.
Well, they have what's called a solder mask. It's a film that covers up everything on the bottom of the PC board except where it needs to be soldered.
Well, and see, I didn't have that, Martin, when I was building my stuff. Yeah, hey, there's a bill in here, KHz Also. He said he remembers talking to you on the phone in 1980 when he worked for Berry Electronics. You've come a long ways.
Wow, that was
last century.
36 years ago.
Oh, yeah,
wow,
yeah.
He's got a very good memory. And I have been up to Berry. I remember.
Yeah,
that was a neat organization.
All right, so let's look here now. Let's talk a little about MFJ. And again, here's where I don't know where to start. You got so many companies, but hey, let's talk about the 45th anniversary first, coming up this year. And I'm coming back down here again. We came to your 40th anniversary down in your place. Here's a shot outside. We all went. You fed us. I think you brought in. What did you bring in? It was chicken. Boy, it was good.
Yeah,
it was good.
Fried chicken, and I forgot. I'm sure we had French fries.
You had a lot of people come. I mean, here they are standing up. I mean, I think you had about 500 people show up for the 40th anniversary, and here we are at the park there. You can see the parking was pretty tight out there, and there were long lines for the food right there. I always try to get up close to the front for the food line. And you got a lot of good people there. Let's see what we got. Hey, there's your booth in Dayton. Can't see it, but you always have a big spot in Dayton. I'm gonna come back to that in a minute. We'll talk about Hamfest and how many you do. So let me jump on to a couple other things here. There's one of your employees. It looks like she's working on an antenna tuner.
Yeah, she is. That's Alma. She's been with us for a long time.
Does she assemble them or test them? What does she do there?
She's doing testing right now. She's testing a MFJ 941 antenna tuner.
Okay. That's cool.
It's plugged into a dummy low. She'll go through the whole test procedure. You can see the bird watt meter there. You can see the ICOM 735, it looks like.
So you got a whole radio there and everything, man, to run it through its paces.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one here. Looks like some circuit board, maybe repair.
That looks like he's working on the MFJ 269, which is the SWR analyzer. And there's a kind of an interesting thing. Look on the PC board on the upper right corner.
Yeah.
Is I think that's an N connector on there.
It looks like it.
See that whole PC board, what we do is to assemble that whole board and test it just like it is. And on the other side of the board, there is a ribbon cable that connects that top section of the board to the bottom section of the board. And then what we do is to snap it and break those two boards apart so they can be mounted at right angle. So that connector comes out the top of the box, and the big section of the board mounts into the chassis.
Wow.
So that's actually two separate PC boards that we break apart but connected together by a ribbon cable.
Okay. Now, you've got some employees that have really been here with you a long time.
And And that's Lynn. She's working on a one of the antenna analyzers. We have got several people who have been with us for nearly 40 years now. We must have 4 or 5 people like that. 5 years.
You've got some employees that have been with you a long time. That's for sure there.
Well, you know, we have some people who started with us, and their children work with us, and now their children's children.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Here's another one. I don't know, working on something. It looks like I'm not sure what that is.
Single sideband transceiver.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the lady just before that was working on an automatic antenna tuner. That was
yeah. Look at that board is pretty with the toroids there and all the relays.
I don't know if they sent you a picture of the machine that we used to wind those toroids.
I don't have it, but I think I have seen it. That's an interesting machine. It winds those.
Yeah, we have that one at MFJ, and then there's one at Ameritron that can wind up to 8-gauge wire. That's pretty big wire.
Oh, yeah. Now, what do we got here, Martin? Is this an amp, or this looks like a tuner? It's got a bunch of relays.
Yeah, those are automatic antenna tuners. Yeah. Okay.
Now, let's see what else I got here. Well, we're back in your office right there. You got a lot of documents there. In fact, what are all those papers? Is that stuff that you guys have built over the years?
You mean the stack of papers?
Yeah, well, no, I see like little folders on the shelf, not necessarily books, but I guess you have all the design stuff and from the day one when you guys, laid stuff out and.
Well, yeah, I keep a set of notebooks. It goes back 35, 40 years with all my notes in it. But I think that's just some stuff, some important documents that I need to keep safe.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about now. You've got a new product coming out. It's a log periodic antenna that's coming out. I guess it's not for sale yet, but you're getting close, I assume. And here's a picture of it. Tell us about this new log periodic.
Okay. Well, there are 13 elements, and it's what we called a band optimized log periodic array. And basically what it is, it's 6 monoband log periodics on one boom. And the gain of this is maybe a half a dB less than a monobanner for each one of the bands. And the front to back ratio is as good as a monobanner, and the SWR is absolutely flat. And this is designed by Justin Johnson from England in Innovate Antennas, G0KSC. And we're going to bring out a whole new line of these products that he has designed. These are trapless. They have direct 50 ohm feed, and so there's no battling to worry about burning out. So you can probably run 5,000 watts into that antenna.
Now, do you have a estimated price that this might be selling for?
I don't quite have it yet, but it's going to be close to I don't know, a couple $1,000.
Oh, wow. But you know what? That's a lot of antenna. That's a lot. Yeah.
It covers 6 bands from 20 through 6 meters, all bands, and all of them have the performance of a monoband antenna. Yeah. And each band has at least 3 active elements, and some bands have more elements active. There's 2 models of this. One of them goes from 20 to 6 meters, and the other one goes from 20 to 10 meters, where we replace 6 meters with an enhanced version of 10 meters. So if you're more interested in 10 meters than 6, then you can get more gain and more front to back with that version of it.
All right, so that'll be coming out, hopefully, it'll be coming out this year.
Oh, yeah, we're going to run our first ad in the next issue of QST magazine.
Okay.
this has got a 24-foot turning radius, and all the elements are full size. No traps, no coils, no matching devices.
Uh-huh.
So the longest element is like 36 feet, and the boom is 30 feet. It's a big antenna. It's a real,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a real monster.
Now, if you want something smaller, what is this? Is this the Cobweb?
That's the Cobweb. That antenna has been really, really popular. It covers all bands from 20 through, I think it's a 5-band antenna, 20 through 10 meters.
Yeah.
And basically what it is, it's a dipole that's bent into a rectangular shape. So it's omnidirectional, and it's adjusted where we can use a transformer at the feed point. So it has a very good 50 ohm match to all the bands, and we have sold tons of these, and people love them. It's like a very, I forgot how.
It's somewhat compact. It doesn't take a lot of space with it folded like that, and it's directional, so that's good.
Yeah, I think it's only like 8 foot diagonal. I think it's not very large, and it can just fit just about on anything. You can operate all these bands in very little space. And we have 2 versions of it, one for 300 watts and one for a full 1.5 kilowatts.
Yeah. Well, Richard sent me the pictures of some of your staff there. I didn't get a picture of Richard, so let's see. I got something here with Richard in it. Let me find it. There we go. Look at that. Now, there's Richard in there. He's in both these. Now, Martin, let me show you what this is here. This is, you may not know this about some of your employees, but you're very talented. There we go. There's Richard there. He's on the left, and there's me on the right. I'm playing air guitar right there. Now, this is a CD that you can buy. We're asking $19.95 for it. This was 2 years ago, okay? This is our Bad to the Bone edition right here. Now, the thing about this is we wasn't selling too much at $19.95, so this year we came out with a new CD called Soul Man. And you can see it's featured there. There's Richard is in there again over on the very left side, and then we got Joe Eisenberg in there, and Emmett and Don is in there, and that's me playing the saxophone back there in the back. Now, since we couldn't get $29.95, we marked this one down to $2.99. Wow. So you can get this for $2.99, and if you want to get the set, the Soul Man and a Bad to the Bone set, we can make you a deal for $1.49 for the 2 of them if you call in the next 10 minutes.
That's great. That's remind me of selling oranges 2 for nickel or 3 for dime.
That's right. Oh, man. And, there will be people buying it that too, I probably would buy some. Let's see. So, okay, Martin, so we've talked a little about MFJ. We talked about some of the products you got coming out. How many products do you actually have in your catalog?
Oh, I bet there's close to 3,000 different products. I mean, if you include everything, a lot of stuff.
That's a lot of stuff. And the thing about it is, probably, well, first of all, I believe, and I've read where you're probably the one of, if not the largest ham radio manufacturing company in the United States. Like you say, you got 3,000 different products out there. But I think that also holds up in the world pretty much. I mean, you guys are worldwide. You've got distributors in countries around the world. I bet some of your distributors, I haven't been able to watch the chat room and pick them out, but I know some of your distributors, like in the Netherlands and places, have been on here and watched us before. So if there's any distributors, if there's any MFJ distributors listening right now, tell us in a chat room, and I'll report to Martin who's in here.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I think we make more pieces of ham radio equipment than anybody, and about 25% of our products are sold overseas.
Yeah. Well, and what I was going to say, probably, I would say 90% of the ham shacks around the world have a piece of MFJ equipment, something. A watt meter, SWR meter, something. They've got it, And if they don't, they probably did it one time. So, man,
we're working hard toward that.
You guys are, it's. I'm trying to think. It's really neat when you can latch on to one product that everybody in the country has to have. How Bill Gates has, he has a software called Windows, and nearly every computer in the world runs it. Well, but look at you, man. You have more than one product, but you're just about in every household.
Well, I sure would.
So, you're man, you're my age.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm thinking, Martin, I don't know if you're going to retire or not. I think you're having too much fun.
Well, I'm having a great time, and I took some time off and didn't like it, so I'm back to work full time. I just like doing it. I like the development of new products, coming up with the new ideas, working with the engineers, working with customers, visiting with them, and I just like everything. In the beginning, the hobby became a business. Now the business is my hobby.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Let's say, hey, here's a picture Richard sent me. What is this thing? This is a USB interface. You want to talk about that? Any reason he sent that? That's something new?
It's a new product. It is you can see the USB plug on the left side.
Yeah.
If you tell us what radio you have, we will send you this product with a cable, and you can operate any of the digital modes that you like. It's plug and play. All you need to do is to download the software for the digital mode that you would like to operate. I've used this on JT65, on Whisper, on PSK31, and it's just super easy to use. Plug it into USB port of your computer, and you tell us what radio you have. We send you the right cable. You plug it into your radio, and then you install your software and start operating. It's a neat little product. It's got a automatic push-to-talk in it. It's got mic level, and it's got the level that you can adjust that comes from your radio, and it's fully isolated with transformers. It's a nice product, and I forgot what we sell it for. I think it's like $99.95 to operate any digital mode that you would like.
That's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Joe Eisenberg is asking, do you have any, are you producing any new kits? Kits. What do you got in kits?
Joe, I hope you're doing well tonight. Why don't you give us some ideas on what kits you think we ought to bring out, and we'll do it.
Well, Joe's got a lot of kits. He's always got one going.
Well, I sure would like to get some ideas from Joe.
Martin, the interesting thing, and I'll tell our audience out there, the interesting thing about you, and I've noticed this before when we would do interviews and things, and people would ask questions. You always carry a little book in your pocket or something, and if people ask a question, have you thought about this, or are you going to do this? You always write it down. And it seems like there it is right there. There's your little booklet where you write down the ideas. Maybe that's why you're coming up with 300 new products, 3,000 products. But, you're listening to the ham community out there and what they need. And I think that's why you're so successful, is that you listen to them and then you guys go out and you try to give them what they want,
Well, you're right. That's the whole key. I mean, if you give them what they want, That's what they want.
Oh, yeah. So let me think here. Well, we've been talking over an hour here. It's so interesting talking to you because, like I said, we jump around so much. I mean, we could talk for hours and hours. We talked a little about MFJ and the companies, and we talked about your upcoming 45th anniversary coming up. Now, let's step back to that a minute. Are you inviting everybody to come to your 45th anniversary?
Everybody in the world. We welcome everyone, and we'll have an open house. We're just going to have a lot of fun, have a free lunch, and it's just a big party for all of our friends.
Now, Martin, if you invite everybody and you end up with 5,000 hams to get there, you're going to have to buy a lot of chicken. Can you afford that?
Well, that's okay. We'll make sure we have plenty of chicken for everybody.
Well, I'm hungry right now just thinking about that chicken that you had last time. Oh, man. I'm getting hungry. I'm going to get something after the show tonight. Oh, let's see. Well, Martin, what else would you like to say about ham radio and, ham radio and getting people interested? And what do you want to say about the hobby?
Well, ham radio has been, anyone who has been a ham have been hams for most of their lives. They just love it. I mean, there may be periods when we're not very active in it, but they usually will get back in it. I've known hams my whole life. I mean, the same ones. It's a very social hobby, and people. I mean, it's more than just being a social hobby. It's also a very technical hobby, and people tend to look at hams like they were nerds, but really it's a very, very social hobby. It's great for the people who are retiring or who kids are grown and they need something to do. It's just great, especially for older ones that might not be able to get around much.
Martin, I don't play golf, but can you imagine when the snow and ice outside, we can play radio?
Mm. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, there's so many aspects to ham radio. There's something in it for everyone. It's just a great hobby. It's a learning hobby. It's something that keeps you interested, keeps your mind active, and you can get as involved as you want to.
Hey, just real quick, I'll catch a couple questions here. Jeff, N3VE, says he has 2 of your atomic clocks, and he had to take one of them apart to make it work on UTC. I guess the clocks he got weren't UTC, and he had to go in there somehow and, change the time zone somehow. So have you got any atomic clocks that are UTC?
Well, we have a brand new one that we tooled up. It's a dual clock, and one of the clocks you can set to UTC. It's a, let's see, I don't remember the model number now. Let's see if I can find it. It's the model 148 RC. It's a 12-hour, 24-hour dual clock with one time base. It's got a LCD screen that has 2 times on it in a single time base that's atomic, and you can set it to UTC.
All right. Now, we got Bill up in Massachusetts, WZ1L. I think he's going to come down to the 45th anniversary. He wants to know when it's going to be. What month is that? October?
It's in October, and Richard is taking care of that. I forgot what date he selected. It's we have to be careful in selecting the date because of all the football games we have at Mississippi State University.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're not going to get a parking place in that town during those ball games.
Yeah, but we will get the word out, and I really appreciate WZ1, is it?
L, WZ1L. Bill.
Okay, WZ1L, Bill. I appreciate you coming, Bill, and we sure welcome you. You're going to come from a long ways to come see us.
Hey, here's a question. Heathkit, when he went out of business, man, were they ever up for sale, or did you ever think about trying to get your hands on Heathkit? That'd been a good mix, I think, for your company.
Well, it would have been a good mix, but we really never got a chance to talk very much with Heathkit. I think they have an ad in the seemed like the January issue of QST, bringing Heathkit back.
They're bringing back about the only kit they've got. They've got an AM kit, AM radio kit, and I don't even think you solder it. I think all the wires go under screws or something. I mean, it's not the Heathkit that you and I knew. They need to get some people back in here that can do the stuff like we used to do with them.
Yeah. Well, we just live in a different age. I'm not sure what the, how the kit market is going to work. One of the really successful kits that we have had were the QRP transceivers that, where we surface mounted all the surface mount parts, and then the ham would build the rest of it. They would install the potentiometers and the connectors and the coils and do the alignment and all that. But it costs more to actually kit a bag of parts than it does to place all the parts on the board.
Oh, really?
Surface mount machine. But that part we can do, and then let them do the rest of it.
All right, well, Martin, before we go, let's just talk real quickly about all those radios you got up there on those top shelves. Your office, when I was there, I loved looking at all those radios. You're a collector of those vintage radios up here. You have several that I had in an office. Did you have a lot of those rigs when you were in your early years?
Well, these are the rigs that I wish that I had in my early years.
Yeah.
I'm not able to get them. But I love these old radios. I mean, they go all the way back. One of the pieces that I value the most is a Regency mobile converter, which was the very first piece of ham radio gear that was transistorized. It's just a small little box, but it's a really historical piece of equipment. And then there's another piece that I found out about much, much later, which was made by Helicraft. It looked just like a S38 receiver. And I know everybody knows or remember what an S38 receiver was. That was a 5-band superhet, 5-tube superhet receiver. Well, this version of it had a transmitter built in with the controls on the back of the chassis, and it used the audio output tube as its final amplifier.
Wow. Yeah.
So that was kind of an unusual. It didn't last very long in the market. But I've just got, DX20s, DX40s, the Heathkit AT1, got a regenerative Heathkit receiver, Drake 2B, Helicraft S40, lots of old radios like that. I just like to look at them and turn them on and play with them. And
so, what do you use right now? What's your main station? Do you work CW? Do you work sideband? What's your main radios?
Well, I've got a lot of radios, and I use them, a little bit at a time. But I just got a 7300, got a KX3, a KX2, ICOM 756 Pro, the ICOM 7300, But I like radios like the HW16s.
Yeah, yeah.
The HW8, the QRP radios.
Yep.
Even the HW7 and the old Tentec PM1, if you remember those back in 1969.
Well, my first sideband rig was the HW100. And that was a neat little sideband rig, you know. It did the job.
My first sideband radio was the HW32, which was a single band 20 meter version like your HW100.
Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. They had the monobanders out there. I remember that. Well, I noticed you got a lot of ICOM equipment here you just mentioned, and you know, I need to mention here Ray Novak. I don't know if Ray's watching tonight, but he may be out there, I don't know, in the chat room, but people may not know it, but Ray Novak started out. Now, Ray's the Mr. ICOM, but Ray Novak started out working for you at MFJ.
Well, he did. He came right out of college and started working for us. He was a really good guy.
And I guess you gave probably Ray his first job. And Ray used to drive that MFJ truck to all these Hamfests.
He drove it all over the country.
Now, is there a story that we need to know about Ray? Did he do something to a truck one time, or wire it, or unwire it, or something happened, I think?
Well, Ray was always a gung-ho person. I mean, he would tackle any problem that you had. And we had some kind of a problem with a truck, like the lights or something wouldn't come on. He just crawled under the truck and started working on it, pulled all the wires out. And then I think he must have forgotten where the wires went, because the lights would never come back on.
Oh, man. Next time I see Ray, I'll have to ask him about that, what he did to that truck. Oh, man. Hey, how many Hamfests do you guys go to per year?
Well, you know, at one time we went to, I don't know, maybe 45 a year. But I think we have reduced it down to maybe 25 a year. So it's like every other weekend we're at a Hamfest, and Richard and his crew goes to most of those.
Yeah, and you guys got a Facebook group out there, MFJ Facebook group, and I know Richard puts a lot of pictures out there when he go on the road, and we get to see what they're eating and where they're sleeping and all that kind of good stuff. So it's fun following them. Martin, it's been a pleasure talking to you tonight. We've gone almost an hour and a half. That's probably long enough. Let's do it again soon, and we just need to make you a regular on the show. But I don't know if I could afford you.
Okay. Well, you can't afford me. I don't charge anything.
Okay. Well, we'll just make you a regular on here. Maybe we'll make you maybe we'll make you the you're in Starkville, right?
Yeah.
We'll make you the Starkville reporter or something for our webcast.
Okay.
And you come on once a month and tell us what's going on down here.
Okay. Be happy to, and I've really enjoyed visiting with you. You're my good friend, Tom.
Well, thank you, Martin. See you at Dayton. We always see you at Huntsville. We'll see you somewhere. We're going to come down and see you again at your factory down here, your manufacturing plant, whatever you call it, your headquarters, I guess. 73 to you. Thanks a lot, and tell everybody there at MFJ hello. We miss them all.
Well, we'll sure do that, and good night, 73s to all the hams who's watching.
All right.
See you later.
All right. Thank you. Hey, Martin, and this entire show was recorded, so if if you get bored tomorrow, you can watch it.
Okay. Just log on to your website.
Yeah, just come to our website and go into archives, and it'll be out there. And feel free to use any parts of it that you might want to. 73, We'll see you later. Thanks.
Okay, we'll see you.
All right, bye-bye. Okay, that was, let me take his name off. That was Martin Jew, the president and founder of MFJ Enterprises. It's always nice talking to Martin there. Boy, he's a great guy. We probably could have talked for hours more. Okay, still questions coming in for Martin, but Martin is gone. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and bring Hangout up, see if anybody's in Hangout. I'm not going to stay long tonight, but we're going to bring Hangout up to give everybody an opportunity to come on. So give me just a second, and I'll bring Hangout up, and we'll be back with everybody in just a couple minutes. Welcome, 2017. Are you in need of a good New Year's resolution? How about improving your listening skills? ICOM has an array of radios to help you stick to your resolution all year long. Base stations, mobile transceivers, handhelds, and more. ICOM has all the equipment to make 2017 the best year yet. Coming soon, the ICR 8600 will bring your listening skills. This radio has ultra-wide frequency coverage, a real-time spectrum scope, and a large 4.3-inch touch screen display. Now available, the ID51A Plus 2 provides new models for extended D-Star coverage. Available in 5 colors, the ID51A Plus 2 allows you to listen wherever you may go. Features include terminal and access mode, send and receive text messages and pictures, DV fast data mode, and an easy FM repeater setting. And for the contester on the go, try the IC7300. It's a high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design. The real fun starts here. It has RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, a large 4.3 color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and an SD memory card slot. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios. All right, we're back with a Hangout here. Looks like Jeff's in there in 3VE.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, let me turn this off.
Oh, man. I'm ready for a peanut butter sandwich. I think we had a good visit with Martin there. He's really an interesting person to get to know, and, man, he's your ham radio success story for sure.
I've never met Martin, but I'd sure like to.
Well, we'll get you guys together up in Dayton this year if you make it up here. He'll be there.
I'll be there, God willing.
Let me say just real quickly to Lord Robert at WBCQ. We're about 9. We're getting close to 9:30. We're moving into our informal hangout portion here. Robert, if you want to cut the radio station off, you can go right ahead and do it. I want to thank anybody out there that might have tuned in on shortwave. You've been listening to Amateur Radio Roundtable. It's every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, and you can watch it on W5KUB. And we welcome you to join us every Tuesday. Send us a signal report if you heard us out there. Send a signal report to Tom at W5KUB.com. And for everybody that's joined tonight, join our Facebook group. We've got a little over 5,000 people now. We broke the 5,000 mark this week, and it's growing. So I see Doc in here. How you doing, Doc?
Hey, Tom.
Hey, Doc.
Hey, Jeff.
How are you?
Good.
Hey,
it's
Tom.
raining.
Hey, it's starting to rain pretty hard here. I hear it hitting the house outside.
Yep. It's not raining hard, but it's raining.
Hey, Tom.
Yes.
If you look over my shoulder here, I got the two analog clocks I was talking about.
Yeah.
But they only have the atomic clocks. They have just the United States time zones.
Yeah.
For setting the time. So I had to take it apart and actually move the hands 5 hours.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you told me you did. I was wondering how you did that.
Yeah, it works good. And then it just every time that we go to daylight savings times, I have to hit one of the other buttons in the back. But it works. And the second hands are they're about half a second off from each other. I thought about pulling the second hands off so I wouldn't have to see that, but I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew they had a digital clock that would do that, but I like the look of a big analog clock on the wall.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, next week we're going to have Michael Coulter and Dara on here. They're wanting to make some big announcements and some updates. they were hoping to be selling tickets by December, and here it is January, and I think they hadn't quite got to the point yet, but they're going to pull it off. I'm sure it's they're running into all kinds of issues, but I bet you they make it happen.
No, can't wait.
Yeah, they've got a lot of experience, so they should be able to pull it off.
Yeah, I think it'll be quite exciting. It'll be a new adventure out at Dayton.
Yeah, that's for sure. You go up. We've been up there 35 years now, and you really get locked into what's kind of the norm for you, and you don't like not knowing what it's going to be like. So.
Well, I can imagine for you because of the work you do out there and how you want to bring the experience. So I can understand your little apprehension.
All right, we got Mike in here. Mike joined us.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing here, Mike?
Hello, Mike.
Wait, I hear you had a little bit of rain coming down there?
Well, yeah, it's raining pretty hard outside. I can hear it.
Oh, well, I got wind blowing, snow.
Yeah. We had some high wind today. Yeah, we had some pretty high wind today. We were down to probably the teens this week, and I think tomorrow will be at 70. And it's going to be raining. I think we got rain for about 6 days.
We probably got about a foot and a half of snow in the last day here. It started this morning. So.
Well, we might hit 45 tomorrow. First time out of freezing. That's good for us.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be 60, 62, 63 this weekend.
Well, I'm looking at my thermometer here in the shack, and it says it's 60.4 outside right now.
Well, I'm looking at mine. I'm at 26 degrees. The wind's blowing. The pines are covered with snow, and it's still coming down.
Oh, boy.
Pretty winter scene out there. You walk over now.
Hey, we had snow this week. We had snow that came in. We got about, 2-3 inches. Stayed here for about 2 days. It finally all went away. But man, that was our big snowstorm for the year.
Look at Jim and Bill just joined us.
Yeah, Jim. That's Jim. Jim joined us.
Hey, dudes.
And Bill joined us. Hey, Jim. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hey, Tom.
Doing pretty good.
We're about to build the maritime.
Yeah, we're doing all right.
So Bill, up there in Massachusetts. Now, see, I done committed you to come down to Starkville, Mississippi, and that's Mississippi. But if you're from down here, you leave a couple syllables out. It's Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Down here.
Yeah.
So you're committed to come down now. Martin's going to be expecting you down here. That's Bill. Bill up.
Well, where do I fly into, Memphis?
Well, Starkville's kind of in the middle of nowhere. Man, I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. You could fly into Memphis or maybe. Man, I don't know. Memphis. Doc, where's the closest place? Where's the closest place, Doc?
New Orleans.
New Orleans?
New Orleans.
No, New Orleans got to be further, isn't it? Maybe not.
You might have some good time down in New Orleans before you go to Starkville.
Well, Bill, just fly to Memphis. You can ride down. You can ride down with me. You can ride down with me when I go down. We'll have room in the back of the truck back here. We might have a little room.
Well, if that follow you down, okay.
Yeah.
I'll bring the airstream.
You might have room in the back, way in the back, eh?
Well, there's your answer there. There's your answer. Jim's going to bring his Airstream down. He'll just put everybody in it.
Uh-huh. We'll have to see how things go. I do want to get down there, though.
Yeah. I was talking about these crystal sets tonight, and can you imagine being in a POW camp or something and trying to build something like this and not get caught with it, and make it work, and I don't know.
Ingenuity.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
he did.
I remember back when I was growing up, we would. That was the radio to build, and you're supposed to have a blue. It's a blue razor blade. I think that was a brand called Blue.
But Gillette didn't work?
The what? I don't know.
Well, I built a crystal radio set back in high school in my school days, but it wasn't like that. It was a little bit more than that, a little AM one. That's long gone, but I still have the gray headphones.
Oh yeah.
That we had these little plastic gray ones that well, I hate to say this, but then another year it'll be 50 years ago since I got out of high school, so I guess I've had those for a while.
Yeah.
The old condenser cans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I always wondered, okay, how these guys in the prisoner war camp, how they get earphones, for these radios. And I was reading this one, and he described it. They made, electromagnet out of some nails, and they put a piece of tin can on the end of it, and it vibrated.
It's 4.5 hours from New Orleans and 3 hours from Memphis.
Oh, wow.
So it is closer to Memphis.
Yeah, but not by
2
far.
hours and 2 hours and 55 minutes. It says on MapQuest.
2:55. Yeah, it's a good little drive.
2:55 from.
Thank you, Doc.
Memphis, and about what did I say? 3.5 from, or 4.5, I guess.
From New Orleans.
From New Orleans.
From New Orleans. Yeah, Doc, you're gonna make it down. Now, how far would it be from you?
Well, I'll tell you in a second. I've got it right here.
I mean, there's probably no good roads from where you are to there.
I'd say probably come down 59.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I'm going to have to head off to bed.
Well,
Don't
Jeff,
leave so soon.
Oh no!
we're glad you joined us tonight.
Yeah. Great show. I love seeing Martin and listening to him.
Martin's
I
a
would
cool
love to
guy.
see
Martin's a really cool guy.
Hammer back and have someone take some more shots of his production. I'd love to see it on.
Well, about 5 years ago, I went down there and spent 2 days, and we webcasted all during the day for 2 days, and we went to every one of the factories and showed everything they were building. Now, back then he had a terrible internet connection, so our quality wasn't very good. But Martin has he's done much better on his internet.
I've been involved in manufacturing for about 25 years, so I just love to see how other people do it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, 7-3.
All right, we'll see you.
7-3,
Good night.
Jeff.
All right, good night.
Good night, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
5 hours for me, Tom.
5? Okay, that's not too awful bad. 5 hours, so let's see. There we go.
Love that stogie. What is that?
Oh, that's just a JR. That's the buying by the bundle, my regular smoking in the car brand. I've got some others here today.
This is how Hangout first got started here. We had him, and we got the Bill out in Montana. He used to light one up in here, and we've got Kurt on WB2 JSG. Kurt. Now I don't know why Kurt doesn't get on Hangout, but Kurt lights his pipe up right now. I'm sure he's just lit it up, and so we kind of have a smoking party here toward the end.
Yeah, you guys smoke and I eat my M&Ms.
I still got a couple old Italian shorties here, and I have to break out the Macallan.
Got the pipe too, so. I look very extinguished.
When you grow up around solder smoke, it just kind of goes with the whole territory. Well,
I'll tell you, I was thinking about that, Jim, the other day. I used to build. I was a home brewer, and I was always building. Like I said, I grew up. My uncle had a TV shop. We had hundreds of junk TVs, and for 15 years, any parts I needed, I just go cut them out of the TVs. I mean, it was like free Radio Shack. But I did so much soldering. I was always over a soldering gun, and I'm thinking now maybe that's what's caused my sinuses at my age to be really messed up. That I breathe all that. Doc, I just wonder if I got lead poisoning in my veins or something.
That's why you're crazy, Tom.
Well, it might be.
Yeah.
Well,
I love the smell of rosin in the morning.
I mean, they've taken the lead out. Now, you don't even buy solder with lead in it anymore, but here I was.
I got 6337. That's the only thing I got.
Yeah, here I am growing up as a kid, and I'm soldering, and I'm breathing that the whole time, And
of course, you're pulling the reel out. You're pulling it out with your teeth. So
you're doing that too. You always have to pull that piece out when you get short, with your teeth. And I've got to think that wasn't healthy. You talk about secondhand smoke, in elevators and stuff. Well, I had secondhand solder smoke.
You just have a little fan and you blow it away.
Well, but I didn't for 30 or 40 years.
No, we didn't know.
Yeah.
Take a blowtorch to anything. It'll light up. There you go. It's all good. But we're not getting out of this community alive. So enjoy it.
Boy, I can hear the rain coming down out there. I think it's flooding.
I had to put a microphone out here. It's been nonstop rain for about 3-4 days over here in California. And
is that now? Are you in Southern California?
No, I'm in NorCal. I'm about 20 miles east of Santa Cruz. I'm in Silicon Valley.
So you get rain up here. Like down around LA, they don't get rain in like 4 years.
Well, not like we get up here, man. We get the Pineapple Express going, and we've had local flooding, and it's just been constant rain. The ground is totally soaked.
Yeah, my son lives out in Mendocino County out there, and they've had a bunch of rain out there on the Russian River.
Oh yeah, Russian River, Napa River. They're some of the first to flood. Some of the lakes have been risen. Folsom Lake grew back up 5 feet in the last week. And we're just trying to figure out what to do with it all because they haven't constructed enough reservoir systems to contain it. So this is all going to wash out, and my lawn loves it. I'm sure my roses are going to love it come springtime. But
they just need to drill a deep hole and let that stuff go back down in the ground, man.
Yeah, it's not to get too environmental, and I'm not a real greenie, but. The state has done so much to undermine its aquifers that it'll take years of this kind of saturation for it to all get back down into the water table.
I saw somewhere, I don't know if it's California or where, it's illegal to catch rainwater now in some places.
In some places it is, and I wish I'd put rain buckets up this year because my neighbors got them, and nobody said anything to him, but out in the Central Valley, the farm valleys, the state believes it owns the water that falls from the sky.
Oh, so, man.
Go figure.
Oh, well.
Hey, Tom?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I got a question for you. This is Bill from Massachusetts. Hi. Hey, listen, Mississippi State, is that the Bullfrogs, just out of curiosity?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Bulldogs.
You say bullfrogs?
Let me see what this says here. Bulldogs, yeah. Bulldogs, 2017?
Yeah, the Bulldogs.
Yeah, okay. I'm looking here at the schedule for the football. October 7th.
You're breaking up. Yeah, you're breaking up.
like.
I heard the 7th and the 28th.
Yeah, October 7th or the 28th.
Yeah, when that town, listen, when there's a game in that town, you don't want to be in a car.
No, the 7th it's open.
Oh, okay.
And the 28th, we're at Texas A&M, so
yeah.
It looks like it's either the beginning or the end.
So I guess Richard Stubbs will pick the right date and announce it, but I know that they will do it when the team is not playing there because you don't even get a car through that town when there's a home game.
What about hotels? Is there any hotels down there?
Yeah, I stayed at a hotel down there. Again, game weekend you wouldn't get a hotel, I'm sure. Like Doc was saying, that's 3-hour drive from me. I'm not real familiar with that area down in Mississippi, but there are other towns around it. None of them are like real large, I don't think. And you could probably find a few hotels.
Okay, thank you.
Bill, your audio's breaking up. I don't know if you're overdriving your microphone or if it's got an intermittent in it, but you're chopping up.
Yeah, you're a little rough, Bill.
Good old packet loss.
Maybe.
Yeah,
we're not hearing.
Come back in.
Yeah, we're really not hearing your audio, Bill. It's in and out pretty bad.
I'm going to take a 73 here, guys, and talk to you later.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of docs, I got an annual physical in the morning, so
oh boy.
All right. Well, don't drink or eat anything after midnight.
Oh, I've already had my blood test. I can do that.
Oh, you can. Okay.
I can eat. And in fact, I got to make sure I drink enough so I can fill that cup a little up.
Let me tell you, hey, I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't worry. Like when I went in the Air Force and had my physical, they ran us all in this room to give a sample. Everybody was giving samples for everybody else.
It's getting harder to give samples at our age.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had to do it with my CDL commercial driver's license. I got sent over for a random check that long ago, but no, I start off with that and end with the rubber glove in the end. Then we know we're done.
Hey, my internist, he said they don't do the rubber glove thing anymore. I think hey, Doc, can you tell me, is the AMA or whoever sets those things, have they kind of stopped doing that?
Not necessarily. I think it's become a little bit more optional, but, I still do quite a few.
I'll find out in the morning because it was a year ago that I had my last one. So.
My philosophy is that, you should check things that the patient can't. So,
yeah.
Not that it's any fun.
Well, and especially if the patient asks you to do it, you probably should.
Well, it's just like I said, if it, you can look in your own throat, but it's kind of hard to do your own prostate exam.
Well, yeah, hey, I've done that before. I've asked before because I'm like you, I'd rather be safe than sorry, sometimes.
Yeah. You want to know that history, and I don't mind. It's about 10 seconds of you're gonna live.
Yeah, you just know when he tells you to roll over.
Yeah, like Chevy Chase says, Moon River.
as long as it's not in jail in a prison cell, I'm okay with that examination.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or as long as you don't feel his arm come up on your on your other shoulder, right?
Yeah.
Here we are. Look at us. A bunch of old guys like we're out ahead.
And live off.
If you feel both hands on your shoulders, you got problems. So.
Yeah. Thanks, Doc. Yeah. Thanks.
I'm out of here.
All right, Doc. We'll see you.
Good night.
Oh yeah, that's just like my hockey league. Years ago, we went in the locker room after a game. Everybody's talking about drinking and women and everything else. Now everybody talks about, what meds I'm on here, and my shoulder operation here, and I got this here.
Yeah.
That's why I don't go to ham club breakfast around here. I don't want to reveal. I don't feel I need to reveal my medical history yet.
Yeah.
Technical question. What software for the KUB broadcasts?
I'm using Wirecast. It's by Telestream.
Okay. Yeah, it seems to be the popular thing. There's another group I'm dealing with that wants to do some split screen stuff, and I said, well, you're going to need an IT guy and a mini studio. So,
well, there's and I have it loaded. It does much the same. I think it might do split screen, but it's called OBS.
Yes.
OBS. Open Broadcast, whatever. If you get the OBS Studio, and it's a free download, you have to kind of figure it out yourself. But it'll do a lot of things that this program does. This program here, it's pretty expensive. It's like $500, and if you want the Pro, it's like $1,000.
$1,000.
Yeah, I went with the $500 one, and boy, I've had a lot of trouble here in the past few weeks. I'm not sure what's causing it. I told you I reformatted and reinstalled and did all kinds of things, and I had a brand new Alienware, a real high-end, expensive laptop I had for backup for this. It started having trouble about the same time, and I had to call Dell on it, and they had to replace the motherboard on my that Alienware laptop last week. It was just 6 months old. Now, I told you an issue has evolved around I always use blue screen. It always worked perfect. Yeah. And when you go chroma key, you're supposed to be able to use any color back here. I could use a red color. There's a color picker on chroma key. You click color picker, take the little dropper and touch the color, and it's supposed to chroma key. Color picker doesn't work on anything anymore. Blue doesn't work at all, but green is working. So I don't know. Something changed. Some update somewhere. Something about Windows. I have no idea. It's using the HD. What is it? The HD video.
HDMI outputs and all that.
It's using the what do you call it? The HD graphics, onboard HD graphics. I went as far as ordering a NVIDIA graphics card to replace it to go with a different graphics card to see if that would clear my problem up. It didn't. We backed out all kinds of. We've tried drivers. We've done everything. So anyway, it's working right now with the green, and that's what I used tonight. And it seems to be working okay. So the only time I use a green screen is if I'm in the studio here. I mean, if I'm at a Hamfest or something, I don't use green screen.
Well, I can tell, but by your existing audio, there's a little overlay because there's a little shadow or halo around your head. But that's okay. But I was just kind of wondering what's going on. Facebook, or there's a company out here, a startup, for just doing direct Facebook stuff called BeLive, and they're in beta right now. And you can do split screen with other contributors, but it doesn't have the complete audience control yet. And they're promising that. Yeah. But Wirecast, I'm recommending this other group, Wirecast, because if you're taking a feed from an external source, then you need Wirecast Pro. If you're doing local multiple cameras, you can do Wirecast. So I'm not sure how you're feeding other sources into normal Wirecast. It's kind of cool. I mean, it all works. So it's amazing. We couldn't have done this 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. Let me try there we go. See if I can show you what it looks like. If I can aim at the right thing. That's basically what it looks like. And, if you see my mouse, right, you should be see. You can see you got an input and an output, and everything down here is software driven. That's all my camera shots. I can click on these. These are all different camera shots.
Cool.
I can go. Let's see.
So you can pick a live or a still or an external feed?
Oh, yeah, I can pick, see, I can scroll through that right there. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
So
cool.
Up at the top up here, I've got things like lower thirds that I built. Here's a lower third here. Let me click on it. There's a lower third. You see how it brought up my name?
Yep.
And, I can bring up different people or different...
Well, yeah, you got the title bar and everything else. That's pretty nice.
I just click on it, and then different things down here. I've got this level set for audio right here. There's all the different playlists. There's my microphone. You see the microphone is red, so I've selected the mic. And if I select any of these, it's just an audio file. And if I want to add an audio file, I just click the plus right. Oh, let's see, where am I? Yeah, click the plus right there.
So while you're on passive camera before the show, you just grab an audio segment and overlay it on your video.
So like right now, if I click, let's see, if I click this button right here in the center,
Yeah.
That'll give you me right there. You know, I guess you're seeing that background.
Can you grab one of the music tracks and then just dump it on top of that so you get video with a track?
Yeah, I can turn music on right now. Right now, I got the mic selected.
Right.
But if I click any of these, I can have music playing. I can go to a different different backgrounds, and I usually for Hangout I usually use this one with a
oh, nice
picture in the upper corner, you know, and here's some pictures.
You got your cameo and whoever you want to select. That's
and
cool.
these are just still pictures I loaded tonight for the show, you know, that I can click through. I'm just
nice.
I'm just clicking on
Very
different
nice.
pictures. So let's see. There we go. Let me go back. There we go. So it does a lot.
All right. Well, you're my endorsement for this other group to go cut a check. So that's cool.
It does a lot. And you asked how I was getting all the other. Let's see. The other things in the show. Oh, I've got so many open here. I lost my camera. Let's see. Where's my camera? Camera. Well, there it is. You can see.
Nice dissolve.
So what I've got is this that laptop on the top left there. I don't know if you can see the mouse.
Looks like a Dell 820, 620.
Yeah, it's a Dell. It's got the white paper on it right there.
Yep.
That's what I got you guys coming in on right now. Hangout's on there. When I have a guest with Skype, I bring them in on there.
Oh, there we go.
I bring them in on that, and what it does is the Wirecast here has a thing called Network Presenter, where I run a little app over here on this laptop, and it picks up an IP address. And then over here on a Wirecast, I created a camera shot there with that IP address, and it picks up the screen over here from this laptop. So it brings it into the show, and I can just select it like any camera. And then, of course, the next laptop over to the right is usually, I've got a program there called Edcast running. It's an IP-based program that I send audio to the radio station with up in Massachusetts. Massachusetts. Maine. I get those mixed up all the time. And then I got another
300 miles difference.
Yeah. They're close. And what I'm doing, this camera up here, if you're still seeing it, the black camera over the big monitor, that's a Canon camera. I'm coming out HDMI. I'm going through an HDMI capture to a USB 3, and that's plugged into the Wirecast machine.
Excellent.
And then the Wirecast also has an output where you can bring just the show output out like a second monitor. I'm going through another. I'm coming out of it. I'm coming out of it and going through another capture and converting it back to USB 3 and going into the laptop into Skype. That way you're seeing what's on the show. Anything nice. I click on here, it puts it into Skype. So when I first started doing the webcast, people on Skype weren't seeing the show. You know, I was seeing them, and they were seeing me with the camera that's in the laptop or something, you know. But this way it gives them feedback. They see the show, they see the lower thirds, they see exactly what's going out.
Yeah, so it's all aliasing and redirect. Sources. So that's good.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It looks like he knows what he's doing.
Well, it's
I don't have a room. I don't have any real estate in my house that's anywhere near as clean as. Idea how cluttered.
Let me tell you what I had to do here. When I moved to this house, my shack is It's not as large. It's about a third of the size it was at my other place. I had a 16-foot workbench here, so half of my test equipment stuff's in the attic right now. But so this room is a lot smaller. So I bring the studio into the center of the room, and when you bring the studio here into the center of the room, it blocks part of my workbench. It's in the way. It causes problems. So I built this console. Let me go back to the other camera here real quick. I built this console. Let me turn my wireless mic on. Maybe you can hear me. Okay. I built this console right here that everything is on.
Yeah.
And it's on. I've got it on wheels. And I can just roll it when it shows over. I can roll all the stuff that's hooked together. I can roll it back against that wall back there, and get it out of the way. And then that frees up my workbench area here.
I see.
And
see, there's the mess.
Yeah, that frees up my workbench. It gives me a lot more room in the shack. And it's over there is my radio stuff, and then of course if you want to look behind,
there it is.
There's the magic. There's the magic right there. So.
Well, that gives me some ideas, because wherever my wife wants to downsize, if it's not just the Airstream, then I've got a 10 by 12 shed in the back.
Yeah.
That is supposed to be the electronic shed, but half of it's still in the garage. So some of it I've got to convert over when I quit working with 4 monitors for corporate America. Then I kind of shrink some of this down.
Well, what was happening? I had all this stuff set up in the middle of the floor here, and it was causing me grief. I didn't want to operate from the ham stuff over there. A third or a half of my workbench was taken. I couldn't get to it.
Yeah.
So, and I couldn't move all the stuff because it was on different tables and the wires and everything. So, I just built this deal right here, and it's on wheels, and everything's all wired together on the same thing. And I just roll it up against that wall over there, and it's out of the way.
Well, I got a pretty ugly. I got a 15 by 21 foot recreation room, but it's not the whole shop.
Yeah.
So it's just cluttered with ham gear, if I can get the camera to stabilize.
Uh-huh.
And when I was doing serious computer work, I had my computer lab over on this bench, but that's not really technical. It was just for servers and stuff. And there's half the room is back there in the man cave, which has got a wet bar and a propane. Been a man cave because it's full of boxes, network cables, and all kinds of other crap. So
here's a picture. This was my workbench at the other ham shack.
Wow.
And
nice.
that was on one side of the room, and then of course I had my radio
stuff. You gotta have
stuff.
your official sign.
Radio stuff down at the other end. Man cave. I got one of those somewhere.
Look at that. Yeah, well, someday my life's going to be reduced to a 30-foot Airstream, so that's going to change things considerably.
Yeah, and I mean, I had quite a bit of floor space in there too, and
dance party.
Yeah, just about could. But hey, you make sacrifices sometimes. Move.
Yeah.
Move to a different place.
Well, we got to downsize, and
we didn't downsize, but. We didn't really downsize, but I don't know what happened. My room got smaller. We actually upsized, but my room got smaller.
I think in the future, since my wife has got into quilting, she's got a long arm quilting robot, and she said, I would really like to do a 10-foot or a 12-foot arm on this thing. I said, there isn't any room in this place except for my office and ham shack that's big enough for that.
Let me tell you, Kathy.
Move out of your office then.
Kathy is a quilter too. She makes quilts all the time here, and she's in a quilt guild, and she's got a long arm upstairs, and she's got we put her sewing in a pretty large room upstairs. See, I didn't want to go upstairs. I'm getting too old to go upstairs. In fact, if I could have found a house that our bedroom is downstairs and everything, but there's 2 other rooms upstairs, and she took one of them for her sewing room. But man,
Well, I think our next place would probably be 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and we're going to get a 40 by 60 metal shed out back, and she can have a third of it for whatever she wants to do for sewing room, and some of it will tent the Airstream, and the rest is going to be the shop.
Yeah.
Because you can't
make sure you got a good wood stove for that metal shed out back. When it gets cold and blowing the snow, that's right. You don't have that there, do you?
Well, we're in California. Cold is 30 degrees, so I grew up in Wisconsin. It's really not cold out here.
I got several. I'm right in the house. I'm right here. I got a little 8x10 room up the house, but some of these guys I talk to, they've got to go out their back door through the snowbank.
Yes.
Get into their building that they built.
Well, I built a 20 by 20 building out back at the end. The lot's an acre here, and I built a nice storage building back there. But I've got a 3-car garage. I mean, one's a 2-car garage for the two vehicles, and then there's a wall in there, and then there's the third garage, and it's all insulated, and that's my shop. I didn't have a good shop at the other place, and I've got my MIG welders and compressors drill presses, and I mean I've got a nice shop out there. I even got a winch that's up on the ceiling that if I need to pick up a 500-pound generator, I just hook to it and press the button and it lifts it.
Well, I turned this room into our hand shack when we built this house 30 years ago. My son was going in the wheelchair. We modified the house when it was built, and this would have been a 4th bedroom, but we moved the walls around, and it's actually, I got an 8-foot table that just fits across here. It's probably about 10 feet. Before the contractors put the drywall up, I had them on the inside walls, all of them, put insulation. And so that's why I closed the door behind me, and my wife's over in the living room and stuff. So
there's the phone.
Mark Pupo sent me this phone from he's up in Ohio near Dayton, and in one of my backgrounds, let's see, I don't know if I have it on here or not, but one of my backgrounds, it had a phone in one of the backgrounds, and so he sent me a real one. Now when people say pick that phone up, I can actually pick the phone up,
Now you just got to work it into a SIP system so you can do interviews over the phone.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I got to call it a night. Here I'm after 11 o'clock here. Got to catch up a few things and call it a night. So I'm going to say 73 to you guys until the next time.
Okay, man.
See you later, Mike.
We'll see you.
Good night.
See you later. So
okay.
I probably need to get out of here and
get your PJ sandwich.
Yeah. I'll probably go ahead and turn the webcast off. We've been streaming for about 2.5 hours.
Long time. So I just reached out to we had a little snippet on email, and I'm reaching out to one of the local vendors, the antenna vendors I talked about, to figure out the contact, and we'll see if I can, if I have to do a taped session or I can get them to hang out for a live.
Okay, that'll be fine.
We'll see what goes on. I think that'll be fun.
Oh yeah, it will be. All right, guys, I think I'm gonna get off here. And we got Bill left there, we got you, Jim, and we got.
It's all of us.
That's all. That's all. Okay.
Yeah, it's just
light up a cigar and have some more wine, guys. Have a good evening.
Hey.
All right.
Yep.
We'll see
have
you.
A good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Tom. Good job.
Night, Tom.
Yeah, all right. Night, everybody. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Mark P., thank you for watching tonight up there in Ohio. I bet it's cold up here. 60.3 here and raining, Mark. Good night, everybody. Next week, we've got an update. We've got the Dayton Amateur Radio Association going to be with us. We've got the officers on here next week, and they're going to be talking about the new invention and what's going on up here. So let me see. Let me put an ending on here. I kind of like the fire one myself, running fire and water. And then this one's not bad.